Wouldn't harassing, abusive, or threatening behavior on online social media platforms be actionable already, the same as harassing, abusive, or threatening behavior anywhere else?
To you, Senator, yes, it would be. Perhaps there are criminal statutes or other means, but this bill does something different. It doesn't create any criminal jurisdiction or penalty. It doesn't create any new civil liability. Instead, it creates a working group to instruct members of the legislature or other individuals working for the public on how they should respond to such situations. To you.
Thank you very much for that answer, Mr. Chairman. Can you tell me what the purpose of including this legislation specifically for elected officials, public officials, and not just leaving it resident? Forgive me, line 6 says elected officials, public officials, and residents of the state. Is there a reason why we're singling out elected officials and public officials, since presumably we are residents of the state as well?
To you, Senator, yes, there is a good reason, which is the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, which creates increased and different obligations for elected and public officials in how they interact with other individuals online and what their abilities are to respond to conduct online. And so, for that reason, it's especially important that these guidelines be directed at elected and public officials because they have special and increased concerns.
Thank you for that answer, Mr. Chairman. Just in reading on, Section 1, subsection A2, it says, studying what state or municipal action is needed to address negative online behaviors that consider a citizen's right to freedom of speech versus an individual's right to be free from harassment. I take exception to that sentence because I don't think that those things are balanced against each other. The fact of the matter is that a citizen's right to freedom of speech should be unfettered, unadulterated, and it doesn't get weighed against someone's right to be free from harassment. Someone's right to be free from harassment is also a right that should be unfettered. But I think that there is a dangerous undercurrent in this language that, forgive me, Mr. Chairman, it strikes me as somewhat arrogant or elitist that somehow this legislature would be considering policy to establish a work group to talk about what we're going to do about people who are challenging elected officials on social media. I certainly get, the fact that it's problematic. I'm the recipient of some of the worst hate of anybody who serves in the legislature. I can promise you that. I've had my life threatened as a member of this body. It made national news right in the middle of a Judiciary Committee meeting several years ago. And it is what it is. I'm not a fan of people challenging me or harassing me. But the line between what is harassing and what is not is what concerns me more than anything, because I've seen, I don't want to name any names, but I'll say that there are some lawmakers that take exception to people simply challenging them on their position on various policy decisions. And I think that's far from harassment, even if it's happening on a regular and consistent basis and can be annoying. It's our job. This is what we sign up for. If you're going to run for office and be an elected representative of your constituents, effectively you're putting yourself in the line of verbal fire, not literal fire. And you've got to live with that. You've got to recognize that that comes with the territory, that you are a representative of your district, and those people are your boss. And if they want to challenge you regularly, you've got to find a way to handle that and do your best to manage that situation so that they understand and respect your views. And my best advice is to show those folks that you respect their views. And often people are disarmed in that way. The bill goes on to say that it's going to establish this working group with a membership, certain members appointed by the Speaker and the President of the Senate and so on. And as has been pointed out many times, and I do know that the chairs here have endeavored to try and make this at least more equal than some other task force. It's still ridiculously biased in favor of the majority. Another example by way of a policy that I don't think should be controversial or partisan. I think that the working group about harassing behavior on social media, if there was to ever be one, I don't see the need, but if there was, to me that is something that I think could be populated with a nonpartisan equal member of appointees. So that's just my opinion on that. Anyway, so just to sum up, I'll be voting no on this bill because I don't see a need for such a working group. I believe that any harassing, abusive, or threatening behavior is already actionable as a crime, whether it occurs on social media or anywhere else. And I really, really get a very, very bad sense of it's got a bad look to it, to see lawmakers proposing legislation like this. I know that many constituents have written us in recent days on this subject matter, very, very concerned because to them it sounds like the desire of this body to silence people that want to challenge the views of elected representatives, and I certainly don't want to be associated with that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.